Hello guys, welcome to this video on circle theorems. Now, circle theorems, before we can understand what they are, it's better to have a good understanding of parts of a circle. So on your screen is the various parts of a circle displayed there. The radius is half of a diameter, whereby the diameter is just the line joining one circumference point of the circle to the other, but the diameter has to pass through the center of the circle. So assuming this is our center O, you can see very well that the diameter passes through the center of that circle, and then the radius will be half of the diameter. Okay, let me just label this here R. Now, what we mean by circumference is just the whole path of the circle. Okay, that's a circumference. So if you have a line joining one point of the circumference to the other, and this line is passing through center O of your circle, let's say that's the center, then that line would be a diameter D. Okay, so let's look at a chord. A chord is a line that is joining one part of the circumference to the other, but it does not pass through the center of the circle. So an example of a chord would be this. And in this document right here, this red line, that's your chord. Okay. And then we talk about the arc length. Arc length of a circle is simply a section of the circumference. So we don't take the whole circumference of the circle, we just take part of it. So if I make a line like that, that's an arc length. Because if I was to do a full circumference, it would make a full circle, right? So arc length, or simply arc, is just a section of the circumference of your circle. The next one is the tangent line. The tangent line is a straight line that is touching a circle at a point, okay? And tangent line always passes externally. So if I have my circle and let me just get a straight line, and I have a line like that, that's my tangent line, okay? So any straight line that is passing, touching the circle at a point, we call it a tangent. And you can see the name right there. So the red line which is touching this circle, that's the tangent of that circle at some point there, okay? The next one is a segment. So a segment is we can call it part of the circle that has been separated from the main circle by a chord, okay? So we remember that a chord was the line that is not a diameter. It has to be a line coming from circumference to another point on the circumference, but not passing through the center. So if you look at this chord up here, this one, so the red one here is the chord, okay? You can see it divides the circle into two parts. Now these parts are not equal. For the case of a diameter, these parts of the circle would be equal because the diameter will pass through the center. But in this case, the case of a chord, the parts of the circle are not equal, okay? Because the chord does not pass through the center. So when a chord cuts a circle, it divides it, not into semicircles, but into segments. So in this case, we call these parts segments. So this is a segment. And because it's a big one, we'll call it major segment. That's our major segment. And the green one is also a segment, but it's minor because it's the smaller segment. For the sake of a diameter, of course, we'd call these semicircles, and they're all equal. So these are semicircles. All right, let's turn our eyes onto a sector. So a sector also, we can have minor sector and major sector. All right. Now, how do we get a sector? A sector now, we use the radius. So if you have lines coming from the center of the circle to the circumference, from the center to the circumference, remember that those are radii. So these are radius, these are radius. So these two radii divide this circle into segment, okay, at some angle. So of course there's an angle made here. All right. So this will be your major sector, and the green one will be your minor sector. Okay. So if you have a circle, center O, let's say that's my center, and then I take a radii there. Plural of radius is radii. So R-A-D-I-I. So if I have a circle and I make radii there, these two, then I'll have my sectors. So you have to know the difference between a segment and a sector. So if I take one of those out, I'll make a sector. Now that's a sector from that circle. So this is, of course, the minor sector. Okay, the major sector looks like this. That's from the circle that I just drew. All right, so it's very important for you to understand various parts of the circle, the radius, the diameter, the chord. All right, now a radius is half of the diameter. And what's a diameter? A diameter is a line that divides a circle into two equal parts because it passes through the center of that circle. Now a chord is different from a diameter because it does not pass through the center. So it ends up dividing a circle into unequal parts. And these parts, we call them segments. All right. Now, if you take two radii from the center to the circumference each, and then you split that circle into those shapes, we call them sectors. All right. Okay, guys. So let's we'll proceed with the circle theorems in the next video.
Audio Jungle.